you have to believe like 100%, 120%, and just be fearless. And if you combine those, then really it's kind of hard to fail.
This is Shed Talk. Karla Vandenberg, Monkey Do's franchise, kids salon. What else can it be? Karla Vandenberg, thank you very much for joining me on Shed Talk today. It's been a long time.
Yes, it's been a long time. I'm delighted to be here. You know, when I travel in Europe and all over the place, I listen to you because I know what you're saying and it's English. So I'm happy to be here.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And it's interesting, Karla, because we've known each other for so many years, probably just about 50, at least 40 years.
Yeah, it's amazing. You almost look the same, just a little bit taller.
Yeah, a little bit.
Still those bright eyes and that smile.
Oh, well, thank you.
Always something special. I think, you know, we have it. We have it when we're little. It just doesn't come. We either have it or we don't.
And that is so true because you look at where you are now, Karla, and where you've been in Calgary and now in the United States. And what's really interesting about you, and I followed you on your social media, starting the franchise with Monkey Do's Kids Salon.
Yeah.
You got to tell me about that because starting up a franchise versus just starting up a company, two different things. But let's talk about Monkey Do's as an entrepreneur and as a woman in the United States from Canada to there.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
It's been a huge journey, right? So I married a Dutch dairy farmer, and I was in Yakima, Washington, and I was a little bored because I just didn't like the cows. So I was watching Oprah one day, and she said, "Do your passion." And I thought, passion, what really is my passion? I always thought it's a romantic thing. So I thought, passion, my kids. My son, he didn't like to get a haircut. So I'm going to fix that problem. I'm going to solve it, right? So entrepreneurs, they're good when they solve a problem. And I've always been good at solving problems and finding different ways to do things. So I thought I'm going to start this kids salon. Have Jeeps, have TVs, put them in the Jeeps. They'll be quiet. They'll watch TV. It'll be great. Make it a rainforest theme. It'd be awesome. So I walked down the hallway and I told my husband, who was eating his pork chops, I said, I'm going to New York tomorrow and I'm going to start a kids salon. And he went, okay. And he just kept eating. So the next day I flew to New York. I checked out this one kids salon that I heard about. I walked in and it only took 10 minutes. I left. I flew back to Yakima, Washington. I got a lease for a store. I started building, designing, and coming up with a name in the very beginning was a hard thing too, because I actually paid a company to come up with a name because I didn't feel that I knew I was good enough to come up with a creative name. So I often think back and, all the money that I wasted when if I had believed in myself, I would have been just a little bit, I would have saved a lot of money in the beginning. But I started with that one in 2001.
So to take that as an entrepreneur and you had the suggestion in your house, you had your son, and you said, enough's enough. I'm going to have this haircut, this way of doing it. What was that deciding moment that's it? I'm going to actually be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So, I've been an entrepreneur kind of my whole entire life, but I've never opened a store. So to open a store, I didn't really know about how to negotiate a lease. I didn't know anything. I just went with that idea as soon as Oprah on TV, she was inspiring. I was on a dairy on an Indian reservation. I had nothing going on in my life. And I just thought, this is fabulous. I'm going to do this. What do I have to lose? See? So I didn't have anything to lose. And I came from Calgary and I couldn't go back. I didn't want to go backwards. I just wanted to make it. And the United States is where you do make it. So I thought, this is it. So and then I went and got the lease and got the sign made and learned all about the LLCs and all about the business. And it took a while. I mean, I made kind of a lot of mistakes along the way. And then September 11th came, so no one came.
So okay. So now I'm going to did you do hair before?
I didn't do hair. I still don't do hair.
So you started a business.
Correct.
That was cutting hair.
Yeah.
Without ever cutting hair.
Correct. Which makes it easier to sell because the moms that stay at home, if they're bored, they can have a business. They don't need to go in. And it's even better if you're a stylist because then you're going to be able to, be there, be on site and make more money. But I never cut hair. I'm not good at hair.
But you were able to start up a business as a passion, saying, here's my passion project. you saw a niche in the market and you jumped all over that. And then that's where a lot of entrepreneurs, when they look and they get scared and say, well, I've never cut hair before, as an example, I can't do that. Where you turned around and you did it.
You know, I never even thought about that. I never even thought that I couldn't cut hair. Although sometimes it wasn't the best thing when I showed up to open the door and my stylist was late and then the customers would be coming and I couldn't help them. I always felt bad about that I couldn't help them. But so that's why I started the glamour. So I started the nails, the little mini manicures, the spa, the makeovers. So I could help with that a little bit and still be involved. But it was just, I'm the visionary and the creative.
That's interesting because now all of a sudden you've got this company that you've set up and now it's ready to go. And then what made you want to think about, and it's like a lot of entrepreneurs are out there that are listening and they're thinking, okay, well, I've got a business. Now, how do I 10X it? And how do I all of a sudden now I want to franchise it? Like, how does that come in as an entrepreneur and say, what does it look like to now take it and franchise it?
So I didn't even really know what a franchise was. I was only like 30 years old, 35. I didn't really know. And people would walk by my place and they just look in the windows. And it looked great. It looked like it was Disney kind of and animated, right, with a purpose. So I decided, after one lady said to me, is this a franchise? And I thought, And it always stuck in the back of my mind. But yet the dairy banker and the dairymen didn't want me to be open. They didn't believe in the salon. They thought I should stay home and cook dinner. So I was facing chauvinism at the highest. And so I decided, well, I'm not going to listen. I'm going to keep on going. So I drove 3 hours every day and I built another salon. So I built another one and I'd go back and forth. I want to expand because I know to have a franchise, you need a 3. You need a 3 so everyone would be speaking about it. So I worked really hard. Take care of the kids, take care of the farm, and do the business and drive back and forth to those both salons every day. So I did that. And then I won Enterprising Woman of the Year out of New York City. I flew to New York. I was on the cover of magazines. I was in buildings that I only had seen in pictures, and it was fabulous. And they all said that you need to open one in Boise, Idaho. I thought, Boise, Idaho? Oh, you don't really, I don't want to go to Boise. But, Boise was booming. And it's still booming. I mean, everyone from California was going to Boise. So that was the place to go. So I went, I got a loan from a girlfriend in Calgary that I grew up, that was my neighbor, that lent me money, put her house up for, she got a second mortgage. She gave me the money. I had extra money from the other stores that were making, and I built this $400,000 build out, and it was incredible. And people came in within 2 months, it was making profit.
Oh my gosh! So then all of a sudden you
incredible.
went. So how the geographical area?
Yeah, so I had to decide on that too because I drove every single day. So I drive from Yakima, Washington to the Tri-Cities where there's still that salon. So that salon's been open all this time, Monkey Do's. That's why I decided to create the franchise because after I opened the one in Boise, I had it kind of not an easy going, I actually was going to get deported back to Canada. I faced a lot of issues there. Yeah, I know they do that. So, yeah.
So you were going to be even deported. So you set up a business in the United States, knowing that you could be deported as well?
Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't know I'd be deported. Usually when you invest like $500,000 into a business, they can't deport you. But I was no longer married. So I didn't have the dairy. The dairy was very profitable. They didn't see that Monkey Do's was that profitable yet. So I had to prove it. So once I proved it, then I was allowed to stay.
And to prove that through the government and that here it is, that must have been emotionally draining.
Oh, it was emotionally draining. I couldn't come back to Canada. I was stuck in the United States when my dad was sick, when I had funerals or weddings, couldn't come back. So all I had was the business and my children. So, and I didn't get to see them all the time because they were on the dairy. So I put everything I had into Monkey Do's. Yeah.
Wow. So now you have Monkey Do's and you got the 3 locations. How did you decide franchise? I know versus, okay, I got one over here in your franchise. How did you actually put the franchise together? Was there a recipe for you to do that? Like how legally, how did you start that first process?
It would have been a franchise like as soon as I opened that Boise, store. It was the perfect time to make it a franchise was back then, after I won Enterprising Woman of the Year. But the problem is that I didn't have $120,000 extra because it costs so much extra to make a franchise. You need the documents, all the legal documents. I had the manuals, I had the systems, I knew what to buy, how to make, I could recreate it anytime. But I didn't have enough money to pay for the lawyers. So that's the problem in the States. You need the lawyers, right? So I just didn't have that money. So it took a long time. And then I was fighting the deportation, which I needed lawyers for too. So I had to spend money on that priority before taking care of the other one. It was kind of difficult for a while. And then I thought maybe I should be a regular person. Maybe I should just trademark, sell the trademark stores, and just go to work at Nordstrom. Because I like clothes, so I can go be a stylist, and maybe I wasn't cut out for this. So I'll give it up for a while, because sometimes it's hard because you have all the staff and all the trouble. So I tried to be a regular person for a little bit. And then I drive past the Monkey Do's store with the sign lit up. I'd go into the mall in California, into Tyler Galleria. There's Monkey Do's right next to Macy's. The kids are lining up. And I'm thinking, well, that's the store that I sold. That's the trademark store that I sold. And I'm going to make it a franchise. It's doing well. It's a proven concept. It's time for them to be all over. It's a great name. Can't beat the name. It's good for the environment. It teaches the kids. It's just a win for everyone. So I couldn't stop. I can't stop because I really feel like it's something that I have to finish. And and the time has gone by like crazy. But I had to get enough money to have the lawyer, to put the documents together. So once I did that, that's only been 5 months. So right now we have 28 possible people to buy franchises. It's really overwhelming. I went to the UK, and so I'm working with the same company that does Planet Hollywood and Chuck E. Cheese's. So that's fantastic because there's no kids salon in the UK. They take their children to the adult salon. So, but now the UK is catching up and London is catching up. So it's a perfect time, perfect opportunity. Also in France, I have a franchise company that I'm working with there, and in Dubai as well. So it's just like gone crazy. And I'm just one person, so I work a lot, and yeah.
And that's interesting. And you just mentioned, and you work a lot, and being obviously female, and you're working in an environment as an entrepreneur. The greatest challenge as an entrepreneur and being female, what have you noticed versus men? Like,
well, versus men,
not necessarily versus men, but being a female in an environment, because having mentors. You must have a lot of people that you look up to, or actually, do you have a mentorship that you work with somebody as well?
It's kind of tough down the States to find that. I listen to people like you. You inspire me. I have a fellow that owns a tequila company. He inspires me, and just business people. But I think I inspire myself a lot, and the drive comes from within. Because I feel like, I've been told that I can't do it. So being told that I can't do it really makes me want to do it.
And it's interesting because you say that drive, and it's that spark in your life that you're ready to go, and as an entrepreneur, and not having a mentor, not having these people, and you're doing it without that.
Yeah.
And add that a layer of confidence in people that are with a no ask, that having a mentor that has no ask, that no investments, no anything, that are truly beside you to push you, to elevate you to a game that needs to be played, you are knocking out of the park.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for that. I really can't act like a female. I find that hard. It's hard to be as nice as I once was. I used to be a lot softer. I have to make decisions fast, and I have to have a really keen sense of common sense. And I think that comes from how I was brought up. I'm fortunate that I had a dad that wasn't always so nice, and he was really kind of strict. So that comes into my mind now as I get older. Don't have much time for really playing and doing things crazy or going off and hanging out with friends. I spend most of my nights thinking about what I'm doing the next day. I speak to people at 12 o'clock at midnight, all about business. I'm all business. There's nothing, I'm not going out on dates or having fun. And I'm all about business now. So.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that the sacrifices that we make as an entrepreneur, and a lot of people think work-life balance. How does that affect you on a work-life balance from your perspective?
So, good question. I never had a work-life balance while I was on the dairy farm because it was all work. Now it's worth millions of dollars. I see that, you can get the reward there at the end. I really don't want to be old and have the reward then. So I do put so much time into it, and people do not know not to call me on a Sunday. Like, if I get a call on a Sunday, I just kind of lose my mind. So I take time, and like when I travel, so I'll be going to Europe on Monday, and traveling around and going to Iceland and going to Stockholm, and music is a great escape for me, so I love that. But then it's only for a couple days, and there won't be one day that I won't slow down, even on a Sunday. I just don't like to talk all the time. Sometimes you need a break, to refresh yourself.
Yeah, and it's interesting because a lot of people will ask about that work-life balance and say, as an entrepreneur, I want to be able to have a job that I can actually do. I want my job, I want my family. But realistically, when you really look at it and you want to go to those levels, it's very difficult to have a balanced life. Like, can you have your cake and eat it too? And it's a fallacy, because I believe that sometimes you have to make these sacrifices. If you want to go to that level of expertise, and you're a prime example of saying that, if we're going to do it, be prepared to sacrifice this to get to here. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because everything has a reason to do it, and yours is very much passionate and a belief, and then you're going after it. You worked your butt off. At the dairy farm, it's the exact same thing, but you're working your butt off on this side of it, and all of a sudden risk and reward is becoming onto your side of the line.
It feels good to have it come back to me, because honestly, I was, there was no more dairy farm. There was no more nothing. So I had a choice. Do you keep going with monkey do's, or do you go home and be a housewife and live on the dairy? And that would have been an easier life. I could have been driving around in a Range Rover and been happy and, simple. But I thought I could do more. So and if those people around you can't support you and can't lift you up, then.
And you made that decision just to say, enough's enough.
Yeah.
I got to cut my friends. I got to cut this off, and I've got to go to here. And I've got to make that choice and change now to make that sacrifice to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
How hard was it to do that?
Kind of hard. Yeah.
Did it take a long time to
I
do
don't
it?
feel really like the same person. You have to almost become a different person. And you have to, the thing is when you see people from when you were different, when you thought different, and now you think a different way, you have to be very strong-minded. I'm happy that I have that strong mind, and I have to work at that. And I guess doing push-ups, I mean, I'm not in as great shape as you by any means, but I still do push-ups. Like, it doesn't matter what day it is, and I do them at night, and I have to have a really strong mind.
So did you notice from your, as you say, strong mind, and when you made that change from going from, and I'm going to use it's a bad terminology, housewife or on the dairy, and then all of a sudden you're making that change, was it like a 2-day, like, I'm not saying it's a 2-day episode, but all of a sudden
10 years, Kev.
Oh, a 10-year window to make that switch?
10 years, because I thought I could be a little softer, and I thought I could do different things, and maybe they were right, and maybe I should have done things differently, and I would have had a better life, and it would have been easier, and maybe so it wasn't instantaneous. It took a while to believe again in myself, because I got knocked down, had everything stolen from me. I had to build myself up, had to fight the government, had to fight, bring it all back. And then, hey, it's still making money. My concept still works. I can do it. And damn, let's go. Let's go. So it took a couple people to believe in me and to say, hey, here we go. Let's help you. And then I have a PR lady in Beverly Hills. She's awesome. She supports me. She's always giving me little speaking engagements to go to. And I think that my story is inspiring, right? And so I want to help women. I mean, the banker, the vice president of Bank of America has told me to stay home. So stay home, you're better off. You have a good life. Now, who wouldn't take that, right? They come from Canada, they move to the States, they don't have anything. They build it all up and they have the world. They could do whatever they want and it's all right there. But no, there was just something more because I wasn't just supposed to stay home and cook. And I don't cook anymore. So I don't cook and I have monkey doos and we're going to put it everywhere. And it's the only kids salon out there that has 3 different types of revenue, so I beat them all. I always had that. And I mean, I've put it at the Boca Raton in Florida. We do little pop-ups at the Atlantis Hotel, and it's going to be all over. And it's just it's a no-brainer. And it makes lots of money when you buy one, so...
And this is where you are coming in and the dream and the passion, because I can hear it in you and the belief system that this is what it takes and this is where I'm going. Because like I said, I go back to that mentorship where people are there, okay, we're going to help you through this, but where you're going, yes, I got knocked down, but no, I'm pulling, no, I'm in it. I'm going after this. I'm going to make this happen no matter what. It's a non-negotiable. This is who I am and what I stand for.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I take the emotion out of it. Because my brother doesn't believe in it. So I have to fight that. My brother doesn't believe in it. So your own family doesn't believe in it. But I'm thinking, how can you not believe in it when they're making money? I started them. They're out there. They've been there all this time. Like, why don't you believe in me? So then I fight against that too, right? But it just makes me stronger. And I just keep on going. And yeah. So time is perfect now. The time is perfect for these.
And you think about that for a second. The people that knock you down only make you stronger, because if it was easy, everybody would do it. But you've fought and put it together that, all right, here's these people that are saying, no, I'm going to go over and make it happen. Well, it's a non-negotiable. You're going to win. You can't fail.
Yeah.
And then you were on some magazines. You've been on some TV shows. Which is one of the most exciting part that you've been on? And we had mentioned earlier. You were mentioning about Martha Stewart.
Martha Stewart show. That was super cool. I remember I was in my store in Idaho. It was a remote, so I was on TV remotely. And then my cleaning lady from the salon came in and banged in the door and came in. I was like, "What are you doing?" So, but that was fabulous. I think one of the Donnie Douch show from New York City, that was super cool because he was very popular, and to be on his show was a big deal. And I didn't even have help. So I didn't have a PR lady. I didn't have a marketing team. I didn't have any of those. They just found out about Monkey Do's Kids Salon. So the fact that they found out about it and found me, and I didn't even reach out and do anything, was very meaningful to me, right? So, yeah. And then lately I've been on Power. I was on Woman of the Month for June for Power Magazine. So that was great. That's out of New York City too. So when New York recognizes that someone all the way in California, coming from Washington, Canada, has done this.
I like that, Washington, Canada.
Yeah. I came up with that Washington. So it just means a lot, because there's a lot of competition. And I mean, I'm not 30 anymore, but I'm wise because I know how to structure things. I know how to do the business. I know a lot. Yeah.
If you were to give an entrepreneur, a young woman, any advice, what would be that one advice, that tidbit that you would give, or your future, yourself 20 years ago?
So my daughter is kind of like me, and she's better than me. So she just recently started a cosmetic skincare for scars, and she's watched her dad and me go through everything, and she is like fearless. So I think, and she's awesome. I think I would have been better if I would have been just a little bit more fearless, and if I have believed a little bit more in myself. So that's why I have the tagline to Monkey Do's: self-esteem, sparkles, and dreams. I think it just makes us, I would hit a golf ball better if I believed in myself, right? So if I just believed a little stronger in myself, so when you have to believe like 100%, 120%, and just be fearless. And if you combine those, then really it's kind of hard to fail.
Interesting. That is awesome. Now, the next one I want to ask is that if you were, so we're going to do this every 5 years, okay? So if you were to do one thing today, okay, and today, what's that one thing, a small little thing that you would do today that in 5 years from now, that you would say to yourself, I am so happy that I did that one thing 5 years ago because I did it then has changed my life today. Now, let's go back into the past. Here I am today, for you today. What did you do 5 years ago, that one little thing that brought you to where you are today, which yesterday brought us to the future, to the present, and the next 5 years will bring us into the future. What is that one thing that if you do today will change you in 5 years?
That's good.
And this is going to be a tough question. And it makes you think about it and think about it. So let's talk. Let's ask that question.
So I know what happened 5 years ago.
Okay. So yeah.
Okay,
So let's talk
can
about
I just
5
say
years.
that real
Yeah.
quick?
No, please,
Okay,
and take your time and go into that because
It's super cool because I wasn't doing that well. I was in Arizona. I just finished being a boxing promoter. I was doing some events with ESPN. Yeah, that was super cool. But that wasn't my niche. So I always felt like I was missing something. Yeah. So I was in Arizona and this fellow said, you know what, you need just to drive to California and I have a meeting set up. And I could have said no. I could have said why. I didn't ask many questions. I thought California, it's great because it's hot in Arizona. I'm going to go to California. I put $40 in my gas tank and I drove to California. I got hired on the spot. I got a $5,000 check. I got moved into a $6 million house, and I was given this opportunity to do celebrity golf tournaments. If I didn't take that chance, if I didn't do that, I think that sometimes I meet incredible people. I mean, I have met incredible people. I can go all over the world. I can go to Mar-a-Lago. I can go all over the place. I can go to Norway and visit the King of Norway. I am blessed with these wonderful contacts. It's because I take the chances and go through the doors. So when I went through the door, got to California, moved in there, I didn't even go back to Arizona. I just stayed. And so I was able to move into this house that I would only dream about and then make these contacts that helped lead me to franchising Monkey Doos. So it's been a great full circle like that. But imagine if I never went, if I'd never done that. I said, no, I don't need to go. Then I would have stayed. So if people follow me now, like they don't know where I am. And I like that they don't know where I am because I'm very grateful that I can just get on a plane and go and have a meeting in London. I can just go to France. I can go have a meeting over there. I'm continually getting better and expanding my network. I have an incredible network. So that has helped me a lot. And back to the question, what would I do now, today, that would make me better in 5 years?
And it doesn't have to be big, just one little
Drink
thing.
more water? Is that how?
But that's exactly what it is. It's
yeah.
one of those things is somebody would ask that question, you know what, I'm going to drink more water today because in 5 years from now, our health, wealth, and mindset, when we look at it, that one little thing changes your whole perspective. It's kind of like, you know what, today I'm not going to have I'm not going to have any more bread from today on.
Yeah.
Well, I lost 100 pounds. I'm using this as an example.
Yeah.
In the future, then do it. It's those little things that create big waves in the future that things you know that you didn't even know.
Yeah, I love that you say that. And I think that you mentioned something to me earlier that, you know, like when I come back to where I'm from, I don't really feel like I fit in anymore because I've grown so much. But then it's hard to get that in your head. If you're a humble person, you don't really want to think, oh, I've changed that much. But realistically, I don't really fit in. So you mentioned if they understood you, you wouldn't have left. So if I was understood here, I would never have left and become who I am. So I'm very grateful with everything and I would still be here, and I'd probably be a housewife with a tiny little house, and I wouldn't have ever made it. So I'm happy to go out on the grand scale and to do everything like that. And there's really you can't really look back, right? You can only keep going forward. But yeah, drinking water, that's a good one.
Yeah. Well, a life lived in fear is a life half lived, and you've definitely changed the whole way of your path to be awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karla, for coming on Shed Talk. And that was an awesome. And thank you
Thanks.
very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Karla.
Bye.
Now you know. Shed Talk.